Hello. Well, I guess we have no other option.
In the dark of midnight, I sit stuck upright. With cotton mouth, I can use a sip. As the shadows stare back, a voice calls out to me. Turn a light out in the street. Remind me of your perfume. Smells just like green velvet. Let me feel your touch once more. I wanna see you again. 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 And I know you don't think it's very likely, and I know you might not want me there. Now I hope you see how far I've come. I hope I can go forth and not be scared. It seems everyone has eyes for you. It seems that you never really cared. But I think I've got something that they just don't have. I wanna see you again.
Dude! Oh, there we go. Yeah, now we're starting.
We hear.
Hello, welcome to episode 3 of the third season of the Sims Nation Internet Football Podcast. Yeah, that's it. I think we're episode 3. We're back.
Yes.
It's the OG cast. Oh my god, it's like we're doing like a reunion episode.
We're back.
Uh,
2 years ago.
yeah, the podcast was very different back then because I put in way more effort.
Now you have other people put in the effort for you.
Dubs. That's like the ultimate goal, right? You just like you put in the hard work and then eventually get people to work for you.
True.
That's life goals. All right, we're back with another exciting week of fantasy. This week was kind of fucking sick, including one matchup that literally came down to the final seconds of Monday Night Football.
Wait, but are you sure it came down to the wire? Someone told me it didn't.
Someone told you it didn't?
It's just a joke because Reeves said it wasn't coming down to the wire and then he won.
Oh. We got a lot of doomers in this chat.
Any doomers?
Doomer speaking. We'll
Same.
get to that later. Yeah, this was a pretty fun week. I mean, some blowouts, but only one team really like shit the bed, I would say, and some close games. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm in shambles. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not much better. I guess we'll put it that way. What was the biggest game you did this week, do you think?
I thought, based on the absolute carnage that happened on the podcast episode last week, I thought Brett coming in and proving the haters wrong with his Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison stack was pretty big.
Okay. To defend that, because we got roasted in Discord, right? I will say we were not down on Marvin Harrison.
That's
We were
true.
down on the rest of the wide receivers.
That's true.
And like Chris Olave was okay, I guess. I don't know. He had 4 catches. Like
Yeah, and
all the
another
receivers-
40-point game by his team.
Yeah, all the receivers still sucked, except Marvin Harrison in 1 quarter. By the way, because all 4 of his catches were in the first quarter.
Yeah,
So-
he did have two targets in the end zone that probably should have been touchdowns if they were better throws. But yeah, he did everything in the first quarter.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously that was an absurd. It was like 61 points in the first half of that game between Kyler and Marvin Harrison. I was like, okay, yeah, that's a good combo.
That's
I
a GG.
still stand by the analysis. That's half his points comes from one half of one game. I still stand by the analysis. However, Marvin Harrison's fucking crazy. I think that's
Yeah, he's
the
pretty
takeaway.
good.
Yeah, pretty decent. We also gassed up Joe Mixon in that episode, and not his week.
Yeah, he got hurt like halfway through the game, and then I think he came back in and then went back out or something. I don't know if he's going to be hurt next week or long term at all, but the Chicago defense is also really good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. They were bad in the first half of the Tennessee game in week 1. But that was also because the offense just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
On Steele's side, Travis Kelce's usage through 2 games has been weird. Like he's been on the field for over 90% of the snaps in the first 2 weeks and has like 5 targets or something.
Yeah, I mean, he did have the 50-yard touchdown that got called back.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, for what's actually gone on the stat sheet, it's been pretty rough. And they did say before the season they were going to use him less, that because he wanted to make sure he was healthy for the playoffs, and his quarterback's good enough where he could afford to do that. I think that was part of why we ranked him kind of lowly in the original power rankings. Was like, you're betting a lot when you have a stack, and Patrick Mahomes wasn't that good last year, and you knew Travis Kelce was going to get targeted less. So it was a really risky stack to go with.
I think it still could pay off, especially with Pacheco being down for like 2 months probably. So they're probably, I mean, they brought in Kareem Hunt, but like they're gonna have to air it out more, I think, because in the last year and then the beginning of this year, we saw that the Chiefs have been more of a run-first team with Pacheco, which has been like the complete opposite of the rest of Mahomes' career. But I think they might have to revert back to that a little bit with not really having a running back.
You're saying Carson Steele doesn't inspire a lot of confidence? I think it's Carson Steele.
That is
with
his
long
name.
hair.
Yeah, he's got some luscious locks, but I don't know about the actual talent part.
I will say, a little victory lap. I was super high on Chris Godwin in our preview episode for the season. I think he's wide receiver 1.
He is.
I mean, he's been crazy. 15 catches on 16 targets. Like, he's getting the targets. He's getting the catch. He's always open because he's an insane route runner. He's back.
The motion that they've been doing on that offense, like the pre-snap motion, and then he's getting some touchdown positive regression. Like the past couple years, he hadn't really had touchdowns, but touchdowns aren't a super sticky stat. So he was due to get some, and he's definitely getting some.
Yeah, and it helps that Mike Evans always draws the best corner because he's just so fucking physically dominant.
True.
That you just got one over here like, oh, by the way, guys, I'm still really good. So yeah, I Steel's one of the teams I'm most confused on. Normally at this time of the year, we always talk about how Steel's 1-3 with second highest points scored in the league because he just gets super unlucky in the beginning of every year. That's actually not really the case this year. I mean, I think he's 4th or 5th in scoring, but it's very clearly below the top tier of Banglewood and BUA
and Trisha.
And Trisha's kind of below them, and but he has had a pretty tough schedule. So this week was kind of weird too because he was 11th in scoring this week with 93, which I feel like is pretty high.
Yeah, I would say so.
So I guess everyone outside of Becca just kind of actually had good weeks, and then.
What was your top matchup from last week?
I think my top matchup. I think Banglewood's team is really interesting because getting these wins early with the injuries he's already suffered is getting pretty huge. I was not high on his team going in, but A-Chain, I don't know, A-Chuck. A-Chuck looks pretty good. DK looks really good this year, so I mean, at least in this week's matchup he did. The first week he's pretty quiet. So the rest of the roster is rounding out, but he's without Cooper Kupp and without Tua for at least 4 weeks. So we're going to see if the rosters are deep enough to actually make up for those.
Yeah, I feel like this same thing happened to Manglewood last year where he won a couple games early despite his running backs getting absolutely decimated. Like he lost, funnily enough, he lost J.K. Dobbins, who he has again, who also has looked really, really good. And then he also had Chubb last year. But I mean, having Achane and Jonathan Taylor as your two starting running backs is pretty strong. Especially, I mean, I don't know if you watched the Colts-Packers game. I watched some of it, but it was a close game pretty much the whole game, and Jonathan Taylor was having a lot of success. And then the second half of the game, they just like took him out of the game. He didn't really get that much work in the second half, even though he was doing well. And Anthony Richardson just kept throwing it to the other team. So it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me.
That game in general was really weird because like the Packers had 237 rushing yards in the first half and ended with 270. Even though I didn't feel like the Colts were like doing anything that special, it was just like they stopped like doing as much. I'm like, hey, Malik Willis, throw the ball, for some fucking reason. And then the Colts were like, hey, why don't we just start deep bombing it with Anthony Richardson? It'll surely work out.
Yeah, and with Tua and Kupp being out, I mean, I think I saw a thing that said Kupp might avoid IR, so he might come back sooner than initially expected, but he's definitely going to miss him for a couple weeks. And his bench, he's got Calvin Ridley on there, who scored 22 last week, which was good. But I don't think you can really count on him that much because Will Levis kind of sucks. And then having Herbert as his next quarterback, generally I would think would be good, but with how the Chargers are running the offense, which is why people were a little scared of that offense to begin with, they are running the ball a lot. Like I think they ran the ball like 35 times last week or something. So it's just not a good recipe for quarterback fantasy success.
It's also important to note DK is not practicing right now. I don't know if that'll affect this game. And if DK is injured, Alex does not have a healthy wide receiver. He does have, he has two Steelers running backs, which, choices. But yeah, so that's something I'll have to figure out.
Yeah. Then we don't have to talk about the other side of that matchup. That other team sucks.
You didn't score that badly.
Yeah, I didn't score too badly, but Terry McLaurin is dead to me. Rashad White got injured in the game. I played a tight end who got one catch, so I'm in shambles. One thing I am pretty happy with is Zay Flowers has been very involved in the first 2 weeks, and that has been a good surprise. I just need, not a surprise, but it's been good to see. I just need Kyron to pick it up, which might be hard because they really don't have an O-line with all their injuries and aren't really going to have an offense with all their other injuries. So,
yeah, the AJ Brown injury is obviously pretty tough. And then I think Zach Moss, we expected you to have a better backup option as like a flex or something, and he's kind of done nothing.
Yeah,
he had a good first week, but it was like a touchdown, got him to decent points, and this week wasn't that good.
Chiefs' run D is pretty good, but I thought Rico Dowdle. Well, I still have hope that Rico Dowdle will start taking more work from Zeke because watching Zeke is painful. Like that dude looks like he's running through mud.
I don't understand why they're starting him exactly. I'm pretty sure Dowdle's leading the team in snaps, just not usage.
Yep.
So I guess that's probably a good sign. I don't think your team's that bad. I think, you have one of the best quarterbacks. I think that's right now having a top quarterback is pretty important to being good. And so I think you're set up decently, but yeah, we'll see when AJ Brown comes back.
Yeah, and can the Jaguars please throw Brian Thomas the ball more, please?
No.
4 targets a week is not it.
But it's also like he does well in the first half, and then they just stop throwing him the ball. It's like, okay, what are we
doing here?
And Trevor has like 40 pass attempts in 2 weeks, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. He's like 27th in like amount of or percentage of snaps pressure within 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're like at the bottom of the league, so that's tough for any Jaguars receiver. But hopefully they can get him going because that would make me a very happy lad. But I think the other team we really need to talk about is B-Way because Alvin Kamara scored 43 points this week.
He did do that, and I mean that was like almost all in the first half too. Like he scored, I think he scored all 3 of his rushing touchdowns in the first half or something like that. I don't know. He scored a lot in the first half.
Yeah, I think it was 3. The 2 rushing touchdowns and the receiving touchdown were all in the first half. And they just kept using him. So that's a pretty good sign. I mean,
yeah, I'd say
2 weeks, he's 60-something points. Like, he's going crazy. He's getting the carries, even in games they're winning. I think that was a pretty big question mark going into the season of like, how is RBA's running backs going to be like healthy and are they going to be used? And Kamara's pretty clearly yes.
I mean, the Saints offense as a whole has been a massive surprise. Like, and it's not, I mean, they played Carolina in week 1, so that didn't really count, but they played Dallas last week and just absolutely destroyed them. And they're supposed to have a good defense. So, Clint Kubiak being their OC and having like, I mean, we're seeing a pretty big theme that these top offenses almost always have very high percentage of pre-snap motion and then also a higher percentage of play action. And last year, the Saints had like bottom of the league in both of those categories, so it's been a big change.
Yeah, I mean, what's also been a big change is Rashid Shaheed being really, really good as a deep threat. He was good last year on like random plays, but it would be like 1 catch for 50 yards. Now it's looking so far this season like he's going to get 5 targets a game, and one of those is going to be a 40-yard catch. And you're going to be chilling, which ironically Biz has Rashid Shaheed. So
he's so fast.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think this is good from BA because Tyreek Hill didn't even have a good game and he was able to win like this. Devontae Adams really came to life in the second half of that Baltimore game.
Dude, he took over.
I think that's the formula for the Raiders is just force the ball to Bowers and Adams, and you're gonna look at least okay because their running game is just fucking horrendous.
True.
I think it was 17 total carries for 27 yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not
great, Bob.
Yeah, not great, Bob. I mean, the Debo injury is like, I guess, concerning because he doesn't have a great flex option with
he's going to have to play like McConkey or Odunze or Lockett, I guess, or Shakir. Shakir might be okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's probably. God, I don't even. Maybe the one to go to, but
this is the same. I mean, it's the same thing we said pre the season starting. If one of his running backs gets injured, he is so fucked. He literally does not have another running back on his team.
Yeah. That's why I think it's, and I mean, Rees really talked about Garrett's team as getting a couple wins early and then getting injured later because it is an older team. And I think that's where we're at, right? Like if he can get 5 wins early in the year, if you can start 5-1, I mean,
pretty much guaranteed to make playoffs.
Yeah, like 7-7 has never missed playoffs in our league.
6-8 usually makes it.
8, I think
on tiebreakers.
Missed it once. I think. Yeah, it was a tiebreaker. And so if you can get a bunch of wins early, I mean, he's already a third of the way to playoffs, basically. So we'll see. If he can stay healthy, though, I think this is a title contending team.
Oh, show.
And we can talk about the Becca Trisha matchup because
we got to talk about Biz's team at least a little bit.
Oh, geez, I didn't even do that. Whoopsies. Yeah, she did score 3rd of the week.
And yeah, that's tough.
Unlucky after scoring last week, so that's really a big flip.
Yeah, I mean, having AJ Brown out definitely helped Devontae Smith, and Malik Neighbors actually showed up. I think he had like 16 targets or something.
18 targets.
18 targets. Okay. Yeah, he was like their entire offense.
Yeah, and I mean the Commanders' pass defense is atrocious. I will say.
True.
So this is not. I don't think it's going to be an every week thing, but if Malik Neighbors, I mean, he was really good. He had that one bad drop towards the end, but he was really good. That's the fucking game we get local. So really sick. Thanks, DC.
Yeah.
He's really good, and if they can keep force feeding him the ball, it's going to look a lot better. She also got a way better game from Joe Burrow. Like a real game. Last week was
He actually
real
participated.
bad.
It's pretty
Although
good.
he did have the fumble that lost them the game, I think.
That's tough.
Yeah.
And then her running backs are, I mean, they didn't score crazy amounts like B-Ways did, but they did fine. Like Bijan still, I mean, I watched that game and he still looks really, really good, obviously. And Josh Jacobs got so many friggin' carries. He just didn't get in the end zone and had one fumble. But one of the like biggest surprises to me is Sam Laporta. Like, I think it's partly due to them the Lions targeting Jamison Williams so much, but Sam Laporta has been like phased out. Like, not. It's kind of like Kelsey. He's just not getting targets.
I thought the whole Lions thing is so weird because this week they almost doubled the amount of plays that Tampa Bay ran in that game. It was like 88-48 or something, and yet, like Amon-Ra had a decent game, but nothing crazy. Jameis Williams had a good game, but nothing like insane. And then Sam Laporta has nothing. It's like, wait, so we have 54 pass attempts, I think, and Sam Laporta's getting 3 targets.
I'm not sure how that's a thing.
He was so dominant last year, and he's such a well-rounded player too, so he doesn't have to come off the field for running plays. I don't know what is the plan here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe the Lions kind of like fix their shit, but they're not like injured. I feel like they're like in some kind of funk. I don't know what. I have no idea what to think of the Lions right now.
Yeah.
I think that's the big hits from this one. I
Yeah.
don't know. Could Josh Jacobs survive 32 carries a game? Probably not.
Absolutely not. But hopefully that doesn't have to happen when they actually have a quarterback.
Yeah.
When Jordan Love comes back. So
that is very true.
Trisha and Becca.
This one,
Trisha, the surprise 2-0.
I mean, look, Reeves had Trisha the third, I believe. So
I had her 11th.
Yeah, I had her 9th.
So that's
still mad at both of us, by the way. I hear it every day. She got pretty lucky in this one. Obviously, she scored 10th out of 12.
Played
Becca's
the 12.
Becca's team is completely devastated. Christian McCaffrey.
High score is the kicker on her team.
I didn't notice that. Holy shit, that is
20 fucking points as the kicker.
That is brutal. I think takeaways from this game. Saquon still looked okay.
Dude, how do the Eagles lose that game? How does he drop that ball?
Do you think
First of all, how do you not run that ball?
That's what I was going to ask. Like, do you run it or do you?
You 100%. You have, like, Saquon had been running the ball so well the whole night. Even if he gets stopped short, if it's 4th and 1, you have, like, a play that is, like, 95% of the time going to get you the first down. Just go for it on 4th down. If you don't get it, they're on their own, like, 8-yard line or whatever it was. It was wild.
Okay, counterpoint. Just catch the ball.
True.
I mean, it's wide open.
It's a skill gap.
Like, I don't know. I think I kind of like the call to throw the ball there. It's risky, obviously, but if he catches it, the game's over.
He gets the first down.
Yeah. Where if you run it, like Saquon could fumble, they could not get any yards. They were just loading the box every play.
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, like the call. Yeah, I think Trish's team also took a hit with the loss of Tua this week. Right? Like, I mean, Jalen Waddle's stocks are going to go down.
Definitely down with Skyler as the quarterback.
And
then having to start Jaleel McLaughlin as your running back too is tough. Tank Dell dropped a 50-yard touchdown. That hurt.
Yeah. We didn't watch the game, and Trish was like, Tank Dell hasn't been doing shit. And I wasn't going to tell her that he dropped the big touchdown because I think that would have just made her depressed. So, and she doesn't listen to the show anyways. She really needs some of her injured depth pieces to come back. Right? Keenan Allen and Kenneth Walker would both really make her lineup look a lot better.
Yeah.
But Kenneth Walker's still out, and Keenan Allen is also
old.
out still. Yeah, and old. But yeah, I mean,
Also-
injuries.
Also, random on Becca's team, the weirdest tight end stat line I've ever seen in my life.
I was like,
How does a tight end have one rush for -4 yards and nothing else? Like, what the fuck? What?
yeah, he had 2 targets, 0 catches, and then just a rush for -4 yards. I had like the play-by-play for that game open, and I was like,
The fuck? Kate Otten got a handoff?
It's like -4 yards. And it's like, oh, that's a typo. It was not a typo. Yeah, on the other side, Becca's team, obviously not having Ingram, not having Christian McCaffrey, not having Jordan Addison, still not having Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, her running backs are tough. I think she is the one that got Carson Steele on waivers, so maybe he turns into something for her, but DeAndre Swift looks terrible. Chase Brown is not he's not looked good, and he's not getting as much work as Zach Moss, so it's rough out there.
Yeah, I put this team number 1, I think. In the power rankings.
Yeah, I had her at 5.
Yeah, everyone had. I think me and Reese had her number 1. Alex had her number 2, and you had her 5. Right now,
Not
it's
looking great,
like
Bob.
You're going to be the most accurate on that one. Obviously, if Christian McCaffrey comes back and
Yeah, that'd be huge.
McCaffrey, then it's fine. And if Evan Ingram comes back and is at least better than what he showed in week 1, and doesn't pull his hamstring in warm-ups, what a weird fucking dude.
Fucking pussy.
Hey, Brenton Strange actually wasn't terrible.
He looked fine, yeah. He had like 65 yards or something, so.
Have we gone all through the matchups? Oh, Reeves.
No,
Reeves Justin.
Yeah.
Oh, the one
And
that
you
came
and
down.
Spencer.
Or so Reeves. I mean, 1-1. Yeah.
Feeling great, right, Reeves? Yeah.
I feel like there wasn't that much standout on this team. I mean, Drake London is looking better. He looked better than last week.
I mean, yes, because he got the touchdown, but up until that touchdown, he only had like 6 points or 7 points.
Yeah, I'm not feeling confident about the Falcons' passing attack still at all.
Me
had
either.
nothing going until the fourth quarter of that game, anyways. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Jordan Mason though, still good.
Still a beast. Still gonna get like 20 carries a game. So
Brian Robinson, Reeves kind of hated on this pick.
It's turned out to be pretty good.
Offseason. He's pretty. I mean, he's a good flex option. I just think nothing's like explosive about this team. Like, who's your pop off guy right now?
Yeah, I guess Jahmyr Gibbs, but the Lions have looked pretty bad. So if they can figure out their shit, then Jahmyr Gibbs and Lamar Jackson are his win cons, I think.
Yeah, and maybe like Pickens eventually, but I have a feeling Pickens is not going to start for him this week either because the Chargers' defense has been good. Maybe eventually like Keaton Mitchell, what's his name? But yeah, just good win to pick up, right? I mean, you want to get every win you can.
Of course.
Also did the interesting strat of waiting until 1:30 to pick up a kicker.
Yeah, and then now he has dropped his kicker again. So I guess he's just going to do this every week.
I guess while he has so many 3-point-a-game running backs, he really wants to make sure he can hold them as long as possible.
Yep. Got to stock up on those 3-point-per-game running backs.
I was watching and it was like Tank Bigsby got injured, and I immediately get the notification. Reeves dropped Tank Bigsby for a kicker, and I was like, okay, Reeves, I see you. On the other side, Justin, so fucking close to a win.
So close. He needed Nico on Sunday night to have a good game to have a chance, and then he had a really good game, and then didn't turn out to be enough. But
yeah, I mean, I still feel okay about this team just because I think Brock Bowers' stocks are way up.
True.
Nico Collins, assuming this injury isn't bad, is like, to me, still looks really good as a player. Garrett Wilson, you hope it gets better. I don't know why they don't throw him the ball.
Yeah, I don't. I feel weird about Garrett Wilson because it's like he's supposed to be like the only target on the team. Like they're just supposed to like feed him, and Aaron Rodgers just kind of isn't. And I think it's partially because Aaron Rodgers is a little washed, which I definitely expected. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, the Jets are gonna be so good because Aaron Rodgers," and I was like, "Eh." And then Anthony Richardson is just, I feel like he's going to be so up and down because it's just going to depend on his rushing because he's not going to he's not going to score points passing because he's not a good passer.
He's atrocious, actually. He was below 50% completion last week and just hit it this week.
And threw 3 picks. So.
Yeah. One of those was on the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
It was weird, though, because it's like a 50-yard Hail Mary, and he's like, he can throw the ball 70 yards in the air, but
he didn't even get it to the end zone. Yeah, I was like, what happened?
I think that shows you his mechanics are fucking terrible. But also, Justin did lose Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, yeah, I mean, realistically, I don't see Justin winning a ton of matchups unless Anthony Richardson pops off. But there's signs. I don't know if Garrett Wilson steps it back up and Brock Bowers is good. It could work, but
it could.
We shall see. Finally, we'll go to my matchup.
Final match. You only lost by like less than 10, bro. It wasn't that bad.
Well, when the two quarterbacks combine for 15 points, it feels pretty fucking bad. Okay.
Yeah, that's tough.
I mean, I was like, is Caleb Williams going to have a good game? I landed on no, picked up Matt Stafford, and he was actually worse. So that was really great. Thanks, Matt.
Just because neither of them had a good game.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, this game was lost on Thursday. Spencer, when James Cook put up 3 touchdowns in the first half, I was like, well, this is probably over, isn't it? Yeah, it was. It was over.
It was.
It was over. So that really sucked.
Yeah.
But Spencer's running backs still fucking loaded.
So he did the same thing last year.
Yep. I mean, and even Zach Charbonnet right now, because Kenneth Walker's out, like he has 5 real running back options.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. Maybe he'll trade one, but he actually still has 0 total moves for the season. So
surprising. That's
shocking.
Really off-brand for Spencer.
On the other side, my team is not great. There was some good. Trey McBride got a fumble return touchdown.
Fumble recovery.
Yeah.
The receiver fumbled into the end zone and he just fell on it.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb was good until they just were out of the game. But yeah, I do think I think my team is probably like bottom 2 in the league, at least until Jordan Love comes back. I don't see a lot of bright spots.
Yeah, I mean, ETN is decent. Like
in fantasy, at least.
In fantasy, at least, he gets a lot of like inside the 5 carries because the Jags are just completely inept in the red zone, so they just kind of run up the middle and hope it works. I think McBride's going to be fine because the Cardinals' offense is pretty good. Mike Evans is, he's always been pretty volatile. Like, he'll get 2 touchdowns on 120 yards one week and then 42 yards the next week, but I think he'll be fine. So I think you've got some pop-off potential. Starting Javonte Williams doesn't feel great, but it seemed like he's going to be the lead back if he can do something with it. I mean, he got 5 catches last week, so that helped.
That's why I said my issue is he's a receiving back. He's like a all-around kind of back, and some teams just never throw him the ball. I'm hoping this week they're like, hey, this guy can actually fucking catch the ball, because that's where his value is supposed to come from.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not great. Obviously, we saw like Xavier Worthy's not a real option this week. He actually got more targets than he did in the first game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm doing very hard. we'll see when it comes back around. But yeah, I think we're just going to move on to week 3.
Week 3 already.
I think there's 4 of the 6 games are teams that are next to each other in the standings. So that's pretty cool. We're going to start with Reeves' game of the week, which happens to be your matchup.
Yay.
Biz versus Wyatt. Biz came out swinging last week and lost after a really tough first week. While you faced the hardest schedule in the league, you're both about in the middle in scoring. So I think this one's going to be really fun if AJ Brown plays.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to play because before the game on Monday, he told a reporter that he thinks he's going to miss a couple weeks. So he's probably not playing, which is tough. So I'm going to have to play Brian Thomas as my wide receiver too, which can be good if the Jags throw in the ball because I think Brian Thomas is a very good player. But we'll see if that actually happens. And then I do feel okay starting Zach Moss because he's against Washington and their defense has been pretty bad.
It's been ass.
But I'm also deciding between Mike Gesicki and Colby Parkinson as my tight end. I mean, he kind of popped off last week, so maybe he'll do it again.
True. I mean, 9 targets. Maybe this is the fucking play. I didn't even know he was on the Bengals until
I didn't either.
I saw him like fucking. Did he gritty? Is that what I saw? Or I don't know what
Probably.
he did. I was like, wait, Gesicki? What the?
Yeah, and then Rachaad White got injured during the game last week, but I think he's supposed to play still, and hopefully he does a little better. But Kyron's against San Francisco with their non-existent O-line, so I'm scared.
Yeah, that is terrifying. Although maybe the receivers being out will help his usage. I don't really know what the play is.
Yeah, I'm hoping he just gets a bunch of dump-off passes or something. Like, just get 15 catches or something.
Yeah, and then the Jalen Hurts versus Devonta Smith thing is going to be really interesting. Like, how much of your points are from Jalen Hurts are counteracted by them going to Devonta Smith?
Yeah, I just need like 4 tush-push touchdowns.
Yeah, that. Fortunately, maybe for you, I think you have a lot of good matchups across the board outside of Biz's quarterback matchup, where Joe Burrow gets to play against the Washington Turnstiles, and that seems like a pretty good recipe for success. While I think her running back matchups are really bad, Tennessee's defense has been really good. If Will Levis wasn't such a fucking idiot, like they should probably be 2-0.
He's so dumb.
It's just like what the shovel pass in the first game was insane. It's
and then the shovel pass backwards in the second game. It's like, what is going on in your brain?
It feels like he's playing like rec flag football, where he's like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny as fuck here if I lateraled it?" And then it's just like the other team grabs it. He's like, "Oh, they can pick it up. It's flag. It's not flag football. Fuck." Yeah, and then Mitch also has Malik Neighbors against Cleveland, which doesn't sound like a great matchup.
True. Bijan against Kansas City's not great.
Yeah. So
yeah.
This is really volatile. I didn't like Biz's team in the beginning of the year. I like it a lot more now that Malik Neighbors is getting 18 targets a fucking game.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. And Josh Jacobs is suddenly like prime Derrick Henry with how many carries he's getting. And Rashid Shaheed's like a real flex option.
Yeah, I'm definitely not picking myself this week, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I was going to ask who you're picking. Sounds like you'll be going with Biz. Shocker. I'm also going to go with Biz. Reeves is also going to go with Biz. And Bengal is also going to go with Biz.
Surprising.
So, yeah, that's a clean sweep for Biz on the pick'ems, which probably means she'll score 70 points.
Hell
So,
yeah.
we'll see how that one goes, though. Luckily you got the win early, whereas she's 0-2.
I'm also 0-2.
Oh, you're both? Oh, never mind about getting the win early.
It's okay, I'm fine. It's okay, I'm fine.
Oh no. Yeah, starting 0-3 it's not great, but like, yeah, it's not as bad as in the NFL where if you start 0-3, you're basically 1% to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I would imagine the number is still pretty low for starting 0-3 in
Fantasy?
fantasy and making the playoffs still, because there's actually less weeks to make it up. But if you
Yeah,
start 0-3, you need to go 7-4 to get
that's
to
doable.
7-7. Yeah, it's like not that bad. Or even like 6-5 gets you to 6-8. So if you have the right
Get a
tiebreakers,
chance.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, we'll
We'll
see.
see.
This is also, I think, this is probably the start for Biz on a really good run. I did not like her team in the beginning. I put her 12th in my power rankings. So far, that's
I had her
been
4th.
okay. Yeah, so far I've looked okay. I'm about to look really bad, I think. All right. I think the other matchup I'm really interested in is actually Brett versus Reeves. Two teams that have no idea what to do with sometimes. Mostly Brett's team. I don't know what the fuck to do with Brett's team ever, and it really just throws me off because it's so dependent on the stack actually like succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
But then on Reeves' side, again, we talked about Reeves not really having like a pop off player consistently. So to be honest, I don't know what's going to happen. The projection right now is pretty off because Reeves doesn't have a kicker. So it's
Yeah,
going to be about 50-50 if he
yeah, it'll
adds
be about
somebody.
even.
I don't know. What do you think?
It's I don't know. It's hard because, like you said, or like we said earlier, Reeves doesn't have a whole lot of pop up, but he has some good matchups this week. Like Jameer Gibbs could completely go off against Arizona. Like their defense isn't that good. Jordan Mason has looked really good, and they play the Rams defense, who hasn't looked great. Uh, he also has a couple bad matchups, like Drake London versus Kansas City and George Pickens versus the Chargers. So I don't know. His team is hard to judge, I guess, right now. But on the other side with Brett, it like you said, it's just so dependent on the stack. Like if he gets a touchdown from Marvin Harrison, he should win, assuming all of his other players don't shit the bed. But Brees is playing against New England, who always has a really good defense and has shown that, and they play tomorrow. And then Chris Olave, I mean, the Eagles' secondary has been bad, so he could have a bounce back game. And then Christian Kirk has just been completely invisible. Like, what the fuck happened to that guy?
Oh, he said 7 targets. I don't know. Like, well, it's so insane to me. I don't get it. Yeah. I also think Joe Mixon obviously playing is one part. Like he was injured in that Sunday night game, but also like Jordan Mason had a pretty good game against the Vikings run defense last week, even though they're good statistically. That's just because they played the Giants in the first week, and the Giants have Devin Singletary. So this could be another like crazy Joe Mixon game. I think if Brett wins, that may be one of the ways that it goes. The stack is just okay, and then Joe Mixon like fucking goes crazy.
It's possible for sure. And then Green Bay against Tennessee defense could be pretty good. And I guess Jets versus New England could be good too, though. So
yeah, I think Reeves a good Lamar game would be huge, right? I mean, we just saw New Orleans put up 40 on this Cowboys defense. They're not that good. I mean, they looked good against the Browns, I guess, but I feel like that could be a place for him to start. And then yeah, Jameer Gibbs needs to show up at some point.
yeah, I think I don't know. This is such a hard one to pick. I think I'm gonna pick Brett. I feel like the the Kyler Murray Marvin Harrison connection is gonna continue to get better. And yeah, I'm going Brett, but it's close.
Yeah, it's super close. I think I'm actually going to go Reeves on this one. I don't know. I like Jordan Mason against the terrible Rams team. I like Lamar. And I don't trust Chris Olave. Maybe it's probably just PTSD. I have some sort of survivor's guilt with him. Like, just never vote for Chris Olave again because that dude fucking hurt me so hard last year.
I get it.
Yeah, it's so hard because like I like Reeves' team better everywhere except fucking receiver, right? Where like George Pickens entering London does not inspire a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm gonna change to Brett. Actually, fuck that.
Holy you pansy,
dude! I looked at that. I was like, wait a minute. I'm voting for George Pickens against the Chargers. And I'm voting for Drake London against the Chiefs. No, thank you. Which means we'll probably go around and they'll both have great games. Because both of our other reason Bengal would also pick Brett. Also, I ranked Brett 11th, so my power ranking is looking very good so far. My 11th and 12th teams, both sweeping pickups in week 3.
Hell yeah.
All right. I don't know. Pick one to go next because I have no idea.
I want to look at Steele versus Trisha.
Okay.
I think, Trisha has got to be one of the bigger surprises based on the preseason rankings. Because, you and I had her really low. I don't remember what Banglewood had her, but Reeves had her kind of high, like mid-ish. I can't remember. But her being 2-0 is pretty surprising. Her team has been pretty good. I think if Kenneth Walker plays or not is a big factor in the matchup. Because if he doesn't, she's going to have to start like Jaleel McLaughlin again, and that just is not a good time. But Baker has been lighting it up. Justin Jefferson, obviously doing really well. Sam Darnold, I guess, learned how to play football, at least for now.
Yeah, I think Baker over Stroud is a pretty ballsy call. She is a Tampa Bay fan, so that probably, and she loves Baker Mayfield, so those two things probably factor in. But yeah, Baker's been going crazy.
He got that dog in him.
He has the better matchup too. Minnesota's defense was really good against Brock Purdy last year. They pressured her like crazy, and the Texans have been like okay.
I don't know what to think.
That good.
I don't know what to think about the Texans. Like, I think the Bears defense is pretty good, but even in the Colts game, like, they looked pretty sloppy, and I don't know if it's just like most teams are looking sloppy because nobody fucking plays preseason anymore. But they've been kind of weird.
Yeah, what's going to happen is she's going to play Baker, and then 1 week Stroud's going to go off on the bench. She's going to lose for it, and it's going to feel really bad. But I don't know if that's this week. I really do think this is a great matchup for Baker. She was like, who should I play? I'm like, I can't fucking make that call. Go with your heart. I'm 1-1, you're 2-0. Yeah, we kind of talked about Waddle. That's the big thing. And Tank Dell.
Yeah, that's tough.
Both of those, one of those guys, or Keenan Allen needs to play, right? Like, we got to get something. Keenan Allen did not practice Wednesday, so it's not looking great.
Not great,
but she's also against Steele, who we've talked about is just kind of having a weird year. This Jamar Chase thing is really surprising. I don't know. Maybe a nice track sprinting match against Washington is like what you need to come back and.
Yeah, I feel like he might have his bounce back this week because, like we've said earlier, Washington's defense is not great.
Yeah, and that plus Chris Godwin against Denver, who's been, I mean, I don't know, they were okay against Seattle the first week, and then last week they played Pittsburgh, who doesn't throw the ball. So I don't really know what to think about their pass protection, their pass defense, but I think,
I think Surtain will probably shadow Mike Evans for the most part. So Godwin definitely could have another big game.
yeah. And then but I don't really like all that much else from Steele's team outside of the two wide receiver matchups. Whereas with Trisha, I think it's just so hard to say because she's got questionables across the board.
Yeah.
Fucking injuries.
Yeah, I mean, Montgomery against Arizona is okay. Like, he could get another touchdown, and that's huge. I feel like that's gonna be the story for him all year. If he's useful, he's gonna get a touchdown. If he doesn't get a touchdown, he's not gonna be very useful. I don't know what Aaron Jones's injury is, but if he plays, he's looked pretty good through 2 weeks, I think. He didn't look that great last week, but it was against 49ers defense that is really good, especially against the run. But playing Devin Singletary against Cleveland is not the ideal matchup.
Yeah, and I don't know the Aaron Jones question is pretty big, right? Because I don't know what to think of Houston's run defense yet. They looked decent against the Colts, who actually have a good running game, and then they looked great against the Bears, who don't have a running game. So it's like, okay, are you actually good, or are you just getting lucky with matchups? But if they're real, if they're legit, and Aaron Jones could get stymied pretty hard, I don't know, that Houston defense could be legit.
Yeah, I think I am going to pick. You know what? I'm going to go with Trisha. I'm going to pick Trisha for this one.
Okay, this is a tough one. Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Why are there so many tough ones? God damn it. I'm going to go Steele. My girlfriend's going to fucking kill me, but it's fine. I'm going to go Steele. I think that this is the week that the Patrick Mahomes stack with Travis Kelce actually comes through. We talked about why they need to throw the ball more. Atlanta's pass defense has not been that good. I mean, Philly had a good week against them. Even fucking Justin Fields looked okay against them in week 1. So I think this is the week that the stack comes back. This can also bite me in the ass really hard because I think Trisha has a better team. I just like Steele's week better. And I think if Trisha wins though, it's going to be a blowout. I don't know. I think if I feel like she's either going to put up a lot of points or like an 85. We'll see though.
We shall.
Let's go with B-Way. I feel like we've been a little disrespectful to B-Way this episode. B-Way is in a really interesting situation where he still has Deebo Samuel in.
Projections looking a little off.
He has Jordan Akins, the tight end of the Browns, who was projected.
Never even heard of that guy.
Yeah, he's projected 3. Last week he had 1 catch for 10 yards. There's no way that's the best tight end option we have on the waiver wire, B-Way.
There's no way.
Please, what's going on?
Fix. Oh, wait, he has Jake Ferguson on the bench, and Jake Ferguson actually practiced today, so he might swap that.
Progress. There we go. Yeah, I think B-Way's team is looking really, really good right now. As long as he can get that flex spot figured out with Deebo's injury, I think this could be the start of like a pretty big B-Way run. But also, Spencer's team had a lot of bright spots last week. We talked about the running backs, and is this the week that Arizona finally comes back and the stack pays off?
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, Amari Cooper has done absolutely nothing for Spencer in the first 2 weeks. So maybe he gets right against the Giants because the Giants' defense is pretty bad. Amon-Ra got a shit ton of targets last week, so that's definitely going to be, I think, going to continue because, I mean, he's too good to not throw him the ball. Hopefully for him, Mark Andrews shows up. He showed up a little bit more last week, but still not nearly as much as he needs to, and not nearly as much as he is really supposed to, because he is supposed to be top 3 tight end. But I mean, all tight ends have kind of sucked outside of a couple. But I'd I'd say I lean towards B-Way on this matchup, just because once he, I guess if Ferguson plays, it's definitely a lot better for him, because I think Ferguson has a good chance at a touchdown every week, because the Cowboys offense is gonna be good. They definitely had an off week, but they should score a lot of points. And with the Dak stack, that's pretty good. Although Tyreek on B-Way's team definitely took a hit with Skyler being their quarterback.
Yeah, I feel like they have to still get Tyreek the ball, right? That's the only way the offense is going to function correctly. Run the ball and then use Tyreek to fucking create shit all over the field, right? Mike McDaniel's a good enough head coach. And remember, Skylar Thompson had that playoff game against the Bills where he wasn't like horrible.
Yeah.
That was
they almost won
2
that
years
game
ago. Yeah, that was kind of because Josh Allen griefed the game, but
he does that sometimes.
Yeah,
especially in the playoffs.
I think we'll know if this matchup's over or not on Thursday night, depending on Ramondre Stevenson. I think if he goes off, last week he was like or the last 2 weeks have been really good. If he goes off, the Jets' run defense hasn't been that good. Obviously, Jason Mason had like 150 yards against them in week 1, and Pollard had almost 100 yards last week. So running backs have been good against the Jets. If he can go off, that's a really good sign. If he does not go off, I think Spencer is going to be lacking a lot of firepower.
Yeah, I would agree. And James Cook is a big factor too, and he plays on Monday night. So this could be a coming down to the wire matchup on Monday night.
I think I'm leaning B-Way, assuming that Debo does not play and Jake Ferguson does play. I think I'm leaning B-Way.
Yeah, I think I'm picking B-Way as well.
Okay. Who did I pick last game? I picked Steele. Yeah, I picked Steele.
Yeah, you were gonna pick. Or wait,
that was 2 games.
Yeah.
Just so Banglewood and Reeves both picked Steele. I think I forgot to mention that. For this matchup, Banglewood and Reeves both picked Spencer.
Cool.
So that's pretty interesting. Currently, you and I have 3 of the same 4 picks. Very good, very good. All right, so we have 2 matchups left. I'll just start with me versus Becca, the 2 worst 1-1 teams in the league. Her absolutely decimated lineup. It doesn't look that bad this week. Yeah, the Evan Ingram's back, but versus my
if he's back.
Yeah, if he's back. Versus my just mediocre as fuck lineup. I don't know. I don't see either of these teams. I feel like neither of these teams is going to go above 100 points.
I feel like one of you will, and whoever does wins. I think Ayuk definitely gets a little bit of a boost from Debo being out, and then Rashee Rice gets a boost from Isaiah Pacheco being out. It's just Becca's running backs are just terrible. Like DeAndre Swift, I have a personal vendetta. Like you have a vendetta against Chris Olave. I have a personal vendetta against DeAndre Swift. But also he's looked terrible this year. So, and then Carson Steele, I don't really know what to think, because I had never even heard of the guy before last week. Maybe he gets a lot of work. Maybe, I find it kind of hard to believe that he's going to get a lot of the work, because he's a rookie who was apparently listed as a fullback, and they just signed Kareem Hunt, and they also have Samaje Perine. So I feel like it's just going to be a giant clusterfuck in that backfield. So, if he gets a touchdown, he'll be good. But I think that's the only road to him being good this week.
Yeah, Atlanta's also been decent against the run, too, so it's not even a good matchup for Carson Steele. He was like the player they gassed. He's like the preseason darling, the guy they gassed up all year. And once Pacheco left the game last week, he did have with 7 carries for 24 yards and a fumble. So he still had less than 1 fantasy point. But I think he'll be used a lot. The question is going to be like, is he efficient? Does he really have a good chance of finding the end zone? Are they going to give him like that? Are they going to trust him with that?
Yeah.
And then, Evan Ingram, even when he's healthy, did not look good in week 1. Was real bad in week 1, as a matter of fact.
Diggs had the 2 touchdown week in week 1, but I don't think he's definitely not gonna be the number 1 target. Like, that's very clearly Nico. But I just don't know if the number 2 target, whether it be Diggs or Tank Dell, is gonna have that big of a value in this offense. Like we said earlier, through 2 weeks, their offense just hasn't looked that good.
Yeah, the positive sign with Diggs is that in the first week they clearly trusted him in the end zone more than anyone else, or in the red zone. So I guess like you're just hoping that if someone gets a touchdown that's not a long bomb, that's it. And then you did make a point about Brandon Ayuk. He's been really mid so far this year. Maybe it's just one of those things where like he held out and didn't really play a lot, so he didn't get to play in the preseason. But like I don't know, maybe he's just a guy who got paid and isn't going to be that good anymore. But even like I guess even last year he was inconsistent as fuck, and when he popped off, he went crazy.
Yeah. Then looking at your team, I would say, I don't know the most recent update on Jordan Love, like if he's expected to play or maybe it's like a game time decision or something. I would say him playing is a very big point in this matchup. Like honestly, I feel like if he plays, I'm going to pick you, and if he does not, I will not be picking you because Caleb Williams kind of sucks.
Yeah, he's not great so far. So Jordan Love was like, he said he is not sure if he's playing, but he did practice today.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, so I don't know whether he's playing or not. But yeah, I agree. If he does, right, my team has 2 pretty big holes: Javonte Williams and Caleb Williams. Interesting how that works out. So yeah, I think I'm gonna pick myself either way. I think just because I really don't like Becca's team.
Got that confidence.
I don't really like my team either. If we're being perfectly honest. I think there's a chance that I score like 101 and win.
I'm picking you if Jordan Love plays, and if not, I'm picking Becca.
Okay. You guys and your fucking
contingency plans.
Pussy contingencies. All right, the final matchup, one that is, oh god, it's Benglewood versus Justin, and yeah, I guess we want to see. And Benglewood got Sam Darnold, pretty big pickup, almost like someone with quarterback issues forgot to play the waivers. Whoopsies.
Wonder who that was.
So if he's been as good as he has been, I think this is a clear Alex win, outside of Calvin Ridley potentially being a 0. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, Green Bay's defense has... I don't know. In week 1, it didn't look that good. And then week 2, it looked good, but it was against Anthony Richardson, so I don't really know what to think. But like I said earlier, you can't really count on Calvin Ridley doing much every week because Will Levis is he's a knucklehead. But having Jonathan Taylor and Devon Achane is very good, like we talked about earlier. George Kittle had a really good week last week, and I think he could continue that this week, especially with Debo out. With Debo and McCaffrey out, that really only leaves him and Kittle and Ayuk of their elite weapons. So I feel like they're just going to lean on Kittle even more than they usually would. And then J.K. Dobbins has looked pretty good. He hasn't looked super fast, because he gets caught on all these breakaway runs, but he's getting these breakaway runs.
Yeah, I mean, and he's staying healthy. And he was never fast in college. He was like bigger, and this is not his playing style.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel bad for Justin, but it's just like there's like clear matchup discrepancies. Primarily, running back and flex are so heavily in Alex's favor.
Yep.
That it's just really hard to make up for that. Even if Garrett Wilson has a good game, even if Nico Collins isn't injured, like, yeah, he probably has the better wide receivers. Anthony Richardson, Chicago's defense has been good. So is he going to have another 30-point week where he just randomly hits? I can't believe he hit 30 points with less than 50% completion. That's so stupid. God damn it.
I mean, he had like 90 rushing yards or something, so that helps.
Yeah, it definitely, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think this one's the fact that it's Yahoo's even giving it 52-48 blows my mind.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I noticed during the Browns-Jags game last week, which was really weird, they gave Deontay Foreman so many carries, and I was like, what's going on? And then Jerome Ford would come in, and he would look like 10 times better than Deontay Foreman, and then they just kept giving Deontay Foreman carries, and I was like, what's happening here? Like, is that going to continue? Like, they're against the Giants, which is not a good defense, so Ford could have a good game if he gets the carries, but I just don't know what happened in that game where they actually gave Foreman so many carries.
Yeah, I think Ford out-snapped him, and yet Foreman out-carried him by like double.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Deontay Foreman?
He
like
terrible.
cut from the Panthers last year or something? Like, he was horrible.
And the Bears.
And then, I mean, Michael Pittman's just been not good this year. He's the kind of guy you don't want Anthony Richardson for. You want Gardner Minshew for.
Yep.
So that stack is not working out, even when Anthony Richardson has good plays. Yeah, I don't know. I'm picking Banglewood.
I'm also picking Banglewood.
All right. Well, that's this episode. A little bit shorter than normal, but I think we had a good one. The last two matchups, what was it? Alex and Reeves both picked Becca, and Alex and Reeves both picked
Bangy.
Banglewood. Yeah, what the? I put Steele and Trisha. But Steele plays Trisha. It's like, what the fuck's happening? So yeah, this is. I mean, we'll see. Pick up standings. Reeves is still leading the pack at 10-2. He came down to earth last week with a 4-2 week. Let's see. Alex and I are tied for second. Alex had a tough week at 3-3. I went 5-1, only missing Justin's last second loss against Reeves. So that's kind of tragic. And then, and Wyatt, you also came back this week with a 4-2 to bring you to 6-6. So the race is heated.
All skill.
For sure. This there's no luck in fantasy. But yeah, that's going to do it for episode 3, season 3 of the SimStation Internet Football Podcast. Bye. Go home.